Welcome to Ask the Funeral Director with Mike Voyajakis. Brought to you by Voyage Funeral Home and Crematorium. Now, here's your
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Ask the Funeral Director on this Wednesday, October the 9th. So we're almost a couple weeks into October, and, there's a lot going on. There's some great videos that we're going to get to tonight. Nothing like chanting Death to Canada. We'll do that because, others are doing it in this country that don't belong here. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also get to a video of coffins floating down a river, which is unlike anything you've seen before. We'll probably talk about Hurricane Milton hitting Florida after the first hurricane that blew up on the coast, 3 or 4 days ago, and now they're battening down the hatches for another one tonight, too. Lots of people to say hello to as well. There's lots more to come right here on Ask the Funeral Director. We'll be back right after this.
At the Cork and Flame, we're always cooking and ready with the finest for all our customers any time of day or night. From breakfast brunch to lunch and dinner, steak and seafood to ribs and more. The Cork and Flame Fine Dining. Always fresh, with fabulous desserts and a narration of the urban landscape, plus a passion for quality food. Eat, drink, chill. Cork and Flame, 3106 Portage Avenue. There's no hurry, so sit back and relax.
Welcome back. Well, here we are, Ask the Funeral Director on this Wednesday, October the 9th. There's been a lot happening in the funeral business lately, of course, so we brought Mike Voyajakis with us again tonight. As always, the man of the hour, the man himself. We never get to roast him on here. We just like to have lots of fun and try to get the message out about, the wrongdoings and the right doings within the funeral industry. Mike, what day is it?
It's Ask the Funeral Director.
There you go. How are you?
So, first Winnipeg Jets game that's taking place tonight, and it's a 9 o'clock game, so it'll be great to see the Jets see what they're going to do this year, see how far they're going to make it, and see what's going to happen. We also have our first female NHL coach. What do you think of that?
You're asking me? Are you serious? You really want my opinion? I'm not. I don't think I'm going to give my opinion on that.
Brad and I both coached hockey for a number of years. Brad's still coaching. I'm not anymore. But there's just the thing about, the boys on the ice.
No, it's not even that. Look, I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about having a female in the dressing room. I think that's a little bit dangerous for players that are
not a good idea.
With making millions and millions of dollars, I'm not sure that's the best idea in the situation. But that's for neither here nor there. It's not my opinion that's valuable. What I want you to think about is just that one simple thing. And, they've had journalists in the dressing rooms and locker rooms of football, baseball, hockey. Those women endure a lot of abuse along the way just being a journalist. And, now you're the coach and you're going to have to put up with some of that too, because these hotshot hockey players, white privileged hockey players, I think that's how CBC put it at one point, and even Hockey Canada for that matter. You
never know. Brad's not feeling good today.
Yeah, Brad's not feeling good.
He's
got
bit of the energy coming out
fever.
I want to say hi to some people tonight. The first one on the show tonight, Joe, welcome. Gord, welcome to Ask the Funeral Director. Well, Gord, Joe, whatever. Hello, Mike and Brad from Winnipeg.
Hey, Terry.
Alice. Hello, gentlemen from Pilot
Butte,
Saskatchewan. Oh, that's why. I thought it was Pilot Mound.
They have a place in Alberta called Picture Butte.
We
used to call it Picture Butte. Picture Butte, Butte. Butte.
Linda, hello, gentlemen.
Hi, Linda. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Steve. Hi,
Kathy.
Kathy
Good
Tickle.
evening, you all.
Kathy Tickle today wrote something that went along in Wake Up Canada News that I'll mention. That you'll see the article there if you go check either Brad Wilder out or Wake Up Canada News. She had a great little post there about what's really going on with 15-minute cities and stuff. And she analyzed the heck out of it for a couple minutes there. And she did a great job of just bringing it to the forefront that a lot of people are missing the boat out there.
Did you know that Edmonton finally finalized 15-minute cities?
Yeah, I know. Winnipeg's going to do that too.
Winnipeg is going to be next.
Winnipeg's already on it.
They're moving on to their Kathy Tickle. I always have to say, tickle, tickle, tickle.
Well, she's the one who wrote that today. She did a great job.
Fernie, good evening, Mike. Brad, here from Washington State. Canadian but U.S. resident, over 50 years.
Can we move in with you, Fernie?
Yeah, Fernie, we want to come.
Oh, wait, no, wait a minute. They're in Washington. No, I'm not moving to Washington State for no money. No chance.
Mary,
sorry, you're on your own.
Brad, always a pleasure to participate. She forgot the P, but participate, she says.
That's all right.
Angela, good evening, Mike and Brad. And I missed one.
Dan Ross from Ross, Manitoba. He's on there.
Yeah.
Dan.
Susan Alec. Hi, Mike. Brad from Susan. Wayne Alec. Also to everyone else on the show tonight. And a lot of crazy things have been happening. Brenda, good evening, Mike and Brad. Sending love from Longsalts, Ontario. Angela, good old Angela's on the show with us tonight. I don't think I like that idea of a female coach. That's coming from a female. What is your opinion on that? A female coach, first one in the NHL. I agree with Brad. When I coached hockey, we had a female player on a hockey team, and it was really hard. She put up with a lot from the guys and had to go to a separate changing room, which was hard when you're a coach trying to tell your team what to do and how to do it prior to the game.
I find that to be okay. The problem that I find is that this individual just puts herself in a risky position, and it doesn't just jeopardize herself and what could happen with her, but it also jeopardizes the players who, don't necessarily act that way, but they get coerced into acting that way, or just pressured into acting that way. It
is what it is. I'm sure she knows what she got herself into.
That's true.
I don't think she'll be in the dressing room as the guys are putting on her uniform. She'll probably come in.
No, of course. But that's not really what
otherwise she'll have a lot of stories to tell.
Yeah, that's right.
We're going to go to our first video tonight, and this video actually really upsets me. I'm actually furious over it, because I can tell you that when we were standing up for COVID and we were out in the streets and trying to have these little rallies, trying to get people educated on what was happening and why COVID was not a real thing, why we shouldn't have lockdowns, the inspectors came and arrested most people and gave them tickets. Yet these guys come to Canada, one of the greatest countries in the world as far as I'm concerned, slowly changing, but was one of the greatest countries in the world. Everyone's talking about Canada now, and they're not saying good things about it. Let's watch this video, and then we'll talk about what happens after the video. Thanks for tuning in to Ask the Funeral Director.
Israel, burn, burn! Israel, burn, burn! Fanning the flames. Politicians across the country accusing speakers at a downtown pro-Palestinian rally of crossing the line.
I find this sort of violence completely unacceptable. This sort of hate should have no place in British Columbia.
David Eby also condemning the actions, in a statement saying this kind of rhetoric is wrong and has no place in our province. The rally was organized in part by a group known as Samidoun, which claims to be a grassroots movement advocating for Palestinian freedom.
Death to Canada! Death to the United States! And death to Israel!
Critics, including the federal Conservatives, saying the Liberal government must take action.
Samidoun has been fomenting these violent and horrific protests and mob actions. This organization is a front for an already banned terrorist group.
Samidoun has already been banned in Germany. Soldiers raiding operations there last fall, directly tying the group to Hamas. In Canada, in addition to condemning the behavior, the Liberal government claims the group has already been flagged with national security advisors for an emergency review.
We know this issue isn't political, and it's a shame that Conservatives only stand up when they think it suits their political advantage.
The Vancouver Police Department now investigating to see if actions of protesters were criminal. No one from Samidoun responded to requests for information. Aaron McArthur, Global News.
Well, they seem to want death pretty bad, don't they, Mike?
You know, what I think, and this is my honest opinion, each one of those people should be arrested and sent back to their country. Because people like that are not needed in Canada. Thank you, but no thank you. Go back home where you belong. If you don't respect Canada, the U.S., the laws that we stand for, the laws that we follow, the laws that we're governed by, you don't belong in Canada. It's a privilege to be in Canada, and you should pack your bags and go back home. And if you don't consider that a terrorist group, what do you consider them?
Well, they were talking English pretty good. I think they're from Canada. I think that those are just children, much like we saw at the United States colleges and universities.
And there's many children like that in Canada.
Yeah, there is.
That are very dangerous and have walked through borders and now are causing major problems. Canada is the land of opportunity. Canada is built on Christian values.
Without the bullshit of the United States of America,
exactly,
who wrecked other countries around the world, we don't even step foot into their countries unless we're there on a peacekeeping
Canada's
mission.
really innocent, really. I mean,
really, yeah.
We really don't even have an army. We probably could even defend ourselves if we tried. So why come to Canada and cause all these kind of troubles? And to disrespect the Canadian flag and burn the Canadian flag while you say death to Canada, what an insult.
Yeah.
And if you call that a protest, sorry, that protest does not belong here in Canada. Go back to your country where you could protest there and get killed after you do what you do.
Yep, I agree, Mike. It needs to change now because you got to nip this in the bud early. If we don't, this will continue to grow and grow and grow, and it won't just be pro-Palestinian people. It'll be pro-Canadians who are just going along for the ride.
But what gets me is we have our protests here during COVID, and in Ottawa, the RCMP came out on horses trampling over Canadians.
That's right.
Yet these people are burning our Canadian flags, causing all kinds of catastrophe, yelling murder to Canada, murder to the U.S., murder to Islam. How wrong is that? And then not one single police officer gets out there and arrests not one single person. All they say is it was a controlled protest.
Where were the riot squads? Where was Justin shutting them down and taking away their bank accounts?
Do you remember the riot squads in Winnipeg? I remember.
I didn't because I didn't go out for that. But
on half of where the ledge is, it was all police in riot gear, and on the other side, it was people standing up for freedom. This happened right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Right.
Never mind Vancouver, that's triple the population of Winnipeg, and they did nothing about it. It's out of control. It's wrong. We need to do something about it. We need leaders in this country that care about you, the people, that are going to put you first, that are going to put your rights first, and are going to stand up for Canadian laws the way they're meant to be.
You had asked about another video, and I saw one earlier today now that you brought that up, and it talks all about democracy and how democracy is really fictitious. It doesn't exist. If you think that people in power are not going to be controlling the world, it's always going to be like that. There is no democracy. Our votes, do they really matter? Do they count?
No.
That's what he explains in this great video.
But I think
maybe that's for next week, though.
I think if people get out there in the hundreds of thousands like they're doing in other countries,
we're 3 weeks away from the biggest election in North America,
what do you think's
dude.
going to happen there?
Oh, man.
I hope, I don't know about you folks, but I'd like to get your opinion, but I hope Trump cleans house. And I've been watching a lot of videos.
Red wave, baby.
And you know what's funny? Is a lot of celebrities now are finally on Trump's side.
Yeah, well, yeah.
During the last election, they were knocking Trump down. I wonder, you kind of wonder sometimes, if you get 200 people in the PC party voting for you or signing your paper, you can run for the next premier.
Yeah, that's
I'd
right.
love to do that. I'd love to be the premier of Manitoba and watch the change happen.
Which one would be first, mayor or premier? You
can
only pick one. Holy
cow. What, as long as you're there to stand up for the people and lead the people and make a difference in our children's lives. That's what it's all about.
You know what? I believe that you are the right guy, and I got your back 110%.
Hey, we got a haircut. Look at that, eh?
Yeah, very sporty. We'll have to get some
people are
dye
saying
for that.
Trump all the way. I'm with you on that. Trump will clear it up. And, I watched this video this week. I shared it on a brain surgeon, a very well-known brain surgeon. Go to Ask the Funeral Director and watch the video. It's 3 hours long. I can honestly tell you in all my life, I've never watched a podcast for 3 hours. I just don't have the patience. But listening to this guy speak was on edge. There wasn't a minute that went by that I didn't enjoy what he was saying and how he was educating me on what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future. And he clearly says, even himself, Trump is the only guy that can change what's happening in this world.
I agree. I believe that he'll be not the savior of it all, but he'll definitely do the right thing.
It's going to make a difference.
Everybody's going to have to stop doing what they're doing if Trump gets
maybe
into
they'll
power.
realize this time that all those impeachments, all those things that Obama and Clintons were doing to him was a big hoax to hold him back because of this great world reset that they want to do. Take away our money, digitalize things, all about power, all about control.
Inject the heck out of us.
I saw a new bang machine that they're going to be bringing out. And I wanted to get it on the show, but I didn't have enough time. It's a video.
Right.
And this new bank machine, you have to scan your hand in order to get money. And you have to have, if you're not vaccinated, they won't let you take money out from that machine and whatever currency it was in. And they use that same bank machine in China right now.
Oh, great.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
We're going to go into this next video, and this is going to be an interesting video. It's been shared like a million times on all social medias. It's not something you see every day, but it breaks your heart if you've lost a mom and dad and the casket was floating down the waters as this one is.
Carolina, it's really hard to describe. It's hard to put into words. Videos like this, a casket bobbing through the rushing floodwaters, to full-sized vehicles like an RV completely swept away. The magnitude of this event is still hard for so many to comprehend. When we come back, we'll have reports from the ground. Stay with us. A lot of the video out of North Carolina.
It breaks my heart to see that as a funeral director, knowing what goes into burying your loved one and trying to find closure and trying to move on to heal. And then to find out that that casket is no longer in the ground. It's floating down a water somewhere or abandoned somewhere. That's somebody's loved one in one of those caskets. And my heart really goes out, and prayers go out to the people who had to face this hurricane. Watching some of these videos, it was bone chilling.
I'm floating to Bora Bora in that thing, using it as a boat, man, and I'm out of here.
Oh, man. It's heartbreaking to see what these people are going through. And I see some people strapping down their homes.
Yeah, I
like
know.
literally strapping down their homes because it is so devastating. Everything you ever worked for, you can only imagine here in Manitoba, coming home and your house not there because of a fire or catastrophe that happens in this world, and all of a sudden it's gone. Sharon, good evening from Transcona. You know, the people from Transcona have to pack a lunch to watch the show, right?
Absolutely.
It's such a long ways away. And Steve Bage is talking to Al Bueller, who's back on the show again tonight. Al, you should hop on a plane, go to Florida, do some carpentry work for the people out there. They are going to need you. Please like, share, and follow this show. We are being
shadow banned.
Shadow banned. That's the word. I hate to use the word shadow, but we're being shadow banned, and it's terrible. Friends of mine are saying, hey, we're not even getting notices that your show is not coming on anymore. I'm going to set an alarm clock. So share this with your friends, like it, follow us, and thank you. We love you. We love that you watch the show. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be possible.
When you're looking for Ask the Funeral Director on all the different platforms that we're on, from Rumble to YouTube to Facebook, it's all one word, Ask the Funeral Director, all one word, no spaces. And that's how you'll find us the easiest. Just so you know, that was my dad that figured that out at 82 years old.
82 years old. Well, I gotta share something with you.
Okay,
today.
you're on your own here.
I had a really sad day today for two reasons. Last week, a lady came on the show and was telling us about somebody who was sick, that has 3 kids and needed help. They're going through stage 4 cancer at home. And unfortunately, heartbreaking to say this, but that person did pass away today. So my deepest condolences to his family and his little kids. And, you know, we did what we could as far as the Cork and Flame. We set up a schedule where we were going to take food and sandwiches to the kids for lunches, and we gave the family some gift cards to go get some groceries and make sure that they had food at home. Now they're going to face a devastating time going to a funeral service and making funeral arrangements. It's terrible. Dan Nichols says, I was shadow banned YouTube, but changed some titles, and the current problem is now solved. I want to share something else with you. My brother died January 24th, 2024. Something Kyriakis was very well known for, and it was in his heart, was to feed the hungry at Christmas. The Cork and Flame every year reached out and helped those people who wrote in, sent messages, sent emails. They did their research on those people, and then Kyriakis would serve a turkey dinner to each one of those families, one-on-one, in person. People donated their time. Delivery drivers came and donated their time. There was lots of them that delivered food right across Winnipeg, everywhere from the north end to where people were struggling. And many, many people came to the Cork and Flame and dropped off gifts. And they could do it again this year. We're going to do that in Kyriakis' memory. I love my little brother. I miss him so much. The court date has even come for his killer, but I want to honor his memory one more time. This year, it's going to be twice, actually. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. The first one is going to be the big Christmas dinner in honor of Kyriakis. We're going to try and feed up as many families as we can. We're going to give you more info when it comes time and it's closer, and we're going to work together with the Winnipeg Free Press and the Winnipeg Sun and local radio stations and TV stations to get this out. We want this to be the biggest Christmas drive we ever had to feed people. Not only that, people come by the restaurant and they drop off toys. So Kyriakis would give the family their Christmas dinner, and on top of that, he would wrap up gifts. So as people dropped off their gifts, if we found out there was a boy and a girl at the house, we would give them each a gift that would suit their family. So this year, if you feel like helping, if you feel like donating your time, we're going to set up a date on when it's going to be. It's just around Christmas, where you could come and help wrap gifts. You can help deliver food. You can just be a part of it and make a difference in people's lives. And the final thing that I'm going to do for my brother this year, and it's given me a lot of peace in my heart to know that at least I could talk about my brother and be here and be able to do things for him in his memory. The final thing I want to do, and I said I was going to do this at the beginning of his death. I've been waiting for the autopsy report to come out. It still isn't out, and it's been 9 months. So January 24th, 2024, we are going to hold the biggest event you ever have seen outside the Cork and Flame in the parking lot. It'll be another candlelight service, and we're going to fight justice, and we're going to make a difference in the city and make sure that people pay for the crimes that they do. So this is going to be in Kyriakis' memory. It's something that has to happen, and it's something we're going to do. We can help raise money if you'd like to help on this donation of food and gifts. Maybe we can have somebody mentioned in there. Maybe we can have a wing night. Maybe we can have a wing night, and all monies would go to the Christmas event to help feed hungry families. It's really important in this world that we give at a time of need. And Christmas is one of those times where nobody should go hungry, and every kid should have a special gift under their tree so they could just open it up, even though Christmas, the real reason for Christmas is Jesus, and that's what gives us the heart to do what we're doing. So January 25th, we're going to be January 24th, because he died on the 24th. We want to do it 1 year. We're going to do this, and we want to make sure that you join us in the parking lot of the Cork and Flame. Bring out a candle. We're going to have speeches, some music, and we're going to honor Kyriakis' life on his 1 year death in that same parking lot.
That's fantastic.
Whew. Hey, that was a lot of talking when you went away there.
I know. I hate to say this, but I caught that flu bug about 3 or 4 days ago, much like your mom had.
My mom was really sick. I'd phone my mom every day, and I didn't want to go by the house. I didn't want to get sick, but I would say, phone her up. She'd go, "Mom, are you okay?"
Coming over here. We're just as sick.
Yeah, I hope I don't get sick from you.
Well, you might. I'm not going to say you're not. I tell you what, I just got sick.
Dan Nichols says, I deliver hampers every year. I help deliver food for the Cork and Flame. It helped cooking. Well, see, Dan was at the Cork and Flame last year.
Our hockey team does that same thing. We deliver hampers for the Winnipeg Food Bank. And
well, you know what? You got to bring your hockey team down to deliver hampers for the Cork and Flame. I'm serious. We feed so many families. And this year we want to feed over 100 families. So we give them a full turkey. We give them all the dressings and mashed potatoes and the whole works. And on top of it, all the gifts. Yeah. And we do it all from our heart. We really don't ask for money. But if people want to donate towards this cause and we don't get enough toys, we could definitely go out and buy toys.
Yeah.
Or special gifts for those families that need it. And
it's doing the right thing, right?
It's in memory of my brother, man. You know what? I miss my brother so much. I love the kid. And the only thing that gives me the drive to move on is to be able to do things that are important.
Well, Mike, you ready for question and answer tonight?
Let's do it.
You ready? Okay. Well, with devastating weather, and there's been a lot, as you know, across the U.S.
Right.
It's happening everywhere, too. It's not just in the U.S. There's other things that are going on in other parts of the world. I'm curious, though, has anyone experienced floating cremation urns? We've seen the coffin going down the creek. What about an urn?
So I'll tell you what floats. And that's a real interesting question, especially, with everything that's going on right now. And you saw that casket floating down, whether it was a lake, whether it was
a stream, a creek,
of water, a creek. if you have a metal caskets will actually float. So when they come out from the ground, these caskets are coming out from in the ground, and they actually go up and they float because they're airtight, just like an airplane. And people say, well, how do you identify a person's loved one once you find them? There's so many caskets that are lost kind of thing. And,
right.
And every one of those caskets, there's somebody's loved one. These metal caskets at the end of the casket have a little tube in it. And in that tube, the funeral director would put the person's name, address, phone number, date of death, and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So every time you find one of those caskets, if the funeral director wasn't lazy, which many are to do this, you take out that tube, and it tells you who's in that casket.
Oh, yeah.
Because really, there's no other way of identifying the person unless the family comes out, because there's no toe tags on the person anymore. They're usually dressed in a suit and tie, a dress, whatever the case may be.
Like a message
for their
in a bottle.
viewing. Yeah, so basically that is a message in a bottle.
An SOS.
It's like
an SOS to save the soul of this individual who needs to be returned to where it came.
And
right?
you know what? Think about a family member that's lost a loved one, and they're no longer in that burial ground. I mean, that would be heartbreaking. It would devastate, to say the least. So to be able to find that casket and bring it back to its burial spot or wherever that casket's going to go next, the same thing happens with urns. So an urn will actually float. If it's a metal urn, it's going to float. If it's a wood casket or a wood urn, it's going to soak further into the ground, just like wood would outside. But the metal urns and caskets and all that kind of stuff float to the top.
I've seen all the caskets that you guys provide. I think I've kind of covered it all now after my last 3 months of working at the funeral home with you, just to get an idea as to what goes on there on a daily basis. Look, if my question to you, and it's a good question because we've never done this before, but what happens if the pallbearers drop the casket? Does it like disintegrate? Does it shatter? Does it blow up? What happens?
So there's been, not with our funeral home, we haven't dropped a casket as far as pallbearers dropping caskets, but there's been other places, even on YouTube, where you see caskets have dropped. In some cases, the casket will shatter, depending on what it is. And other cases, it'll just dent, maybe bang up.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a possibility, but you never know what would happen when you drop a casket. You just don't want to drop a casket.
Yeah, no, there's somebody in there still, right? In the past,
Wallace says, my dad's casket has Union 1021 stickers plastered at the end of it. Well, that would tell somebody where it is.
Sophie knows me. Look at that.
Sophie
knows
Brad,
me very well.
you don't look good. Fluids and...
Elderberry syrup right away. I have a sign. You are severely dehydrated. Yeah, I'm drinking lots of water. I'm doing everything I possibly can.
And you don't see the shield here. We were talking to Fauci earlier today, and he said, make sure that you have that screen between
you. Put the plastic plexiglass up.
I can't reach them.
No.
So we got that plastic in between us so I don't get sick.
In the past, there's been instances of caskets and vaults floating. I just don't think I've ever seen or heard of a cremated remains having this happen. Since they're smaller and lighter, I would assume that this happens as well. Thanks for entertaining my curiosity.
So that was just talking about the urn.
Yeah.
Al Bueller is being silly again, saying, is it a glass casket? Yeah, we all have glass caskets.
Absolutely.
See-through.
Absolutely. Okay, question to the pros now. Is that the question number 2? How do you feel about the show 6 Feet Under? Do you feel like it over-glamorizes the profession? Mandy wants to know. I haven't even seen 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under. Has anyone seen 6 Feet Under? If you have, put something in the comments. 6 Feet Under was a family-owned funeral home run by a couple of brothers. And that show has a lot of realities to it. And it doesn't glamorize funeral directors or make them look any less. But it was a great show. And I enjoyed watching 6 Feet Under. As a matter of fact, if you haven't seen an episode of 6 Feet Under, it's all about funeral homes and funeral directors. And in each episode, there's another death, or maybe 2 or 3 deaths. And Angela says, yes, I saw it. It was silly. It's actually one of the closest shows they've put on that's a funeral director kind of a show. I wouldn't mind, I was talking to Sharon today, and I said, Sharon, why don't you come on the show today and, what's it like to be married to a funeral director?
Right.
Sharon goes, people don't want to hear that. And I said, of course they do.
Yeah,
Noel Bueller, it's 6 feet under. 6 feet. I think it was, he got me all confused now.
All right. Question number 3. I've been watching Ask the Funeral Director for about a year now. I have stage 4 cancer. We're sorry to hear that. I was terrified of dying. I am too. Your show has brought much comfort to my heart. I laugh and I cry. I've downloaded your book and talked with my family about death and dying. Thank you, Kenneth.
Wow.
It's pretty good that you got all the information to help somebody like that, right?
Yeah.
And ready.
You know what? It feels good. It feels good when, and it happens to me quite often. It feels good when somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, you're the Ask the Funeral Director guy," and they give you a hug and they show you love. And today, a family walked in as I was doing arrangements with another family. And think about this: these people lost a loved one. They're going through their own grief. They're going through all their own troubled times. And all of a sudden, she walks in with a big, huge Morton's box of chocolate bars and candies and says, "Thank you so much for what you did at my husband's funeral, how you guided me and how you helped me." And that is so cool. It's so cool when families come in and appreciate what you do and show their appreciation by bringing a little something. So let's talk about that book. So the book he's talking about is on our will kit. So it's a 5-in-1 will kit. You can find it on our website, absolutely free. And in that book, it's such a cool book because the lady came in today and she goes, "I don't know how to talk to my dad about death." And I said, "Here, take this book and read through it and talk to your dad as you're reading this book, and it actually answers your questions for you." So, for example, what was your favorite color? If you could do it all over again, what would you do? What's the your favorite place you ever visited in the world? What's one thing you never did that you wanted to do? Things like that, right? And then family trees and all the kinds of things that happen. It asks
all the good questions.
Yeah, what you want for your funeral. But anyways, as you're doing it, as you're asking questions, sitting beside somebody's bedside who's sick, they would think you're simply just asking questions, yet you're just kind of filling in the blank.
You should have brought one tonight for me.
Well, you'll be fine. I got a funny feeling that I'm going to be sick after I leave here.
I feel like I'm dying. Okay. All right, number 4 or number 5. What happens to pacemakers when a body has them? What do you do with them? Kelly wants to know.
I want to read Dan Nichols here. I've only dealt with one funeral home in Winnipeg, and after the home made the press, so there was a couple of funeral homes in Winnipeg, and the last little while they closed their doors. One just a couple of weeks ago. So it's terrible. When selecting a funeral home, make sure you should be sleeping, Brad. That's what Eddie says. Make sure you're checking the funeral home's image, reputation. Make sure you go to a funeral home that does everything you need done. If you want cremation done, they have a crematorium. If you have a service, they have a chapel and reception area. They have vehicles that can pick you up at the house, like a limousine. They have a hearse if you need it. All the things that you need. And Dan Nichols was talking about Wheeler Funeral Home that went bankrupt a few years ago, and a lot of people lost a lot of money. And somehow after everything that happened, this guy was never charged. I think it was over $1 million, and people's monies that went missing. And the only thing that happened to him is he had his funeral director license taken away. The Board of Funeral Service closed their doors after that, and somebody else took over the Board of Funeral Service. And a lot of people were left with no cemetery properties, no pre-planned money, and no pre-plans. And it's too bad because when people come to the funeral home, the one thing I hear all the time is, "I'm coming in to pre-plan to make this easy for my family. I don't want my kids to have to go through all the things you have to go through when somebody dies." So they come in and pre-plan. So it's sad that a funeral home or funeral director would take advantage of you, take your money, and then be forced into bankruptcy where these people lose everything they worked for. And some people lost a lot of money. I mean, if you're doing 2 traditional burials, you could be talking almost $20,000 plus cemetery property. So very sad. And if you remember Mennonite Memorial Gardens, which turned into Wheeler Cemetery, that also was taken away and forced into bankruptcy, now run by another gentleman, Russ, who's trying to turn the cemetery around.
I find it hard to think that we're going to sit here for that I'm going to be able to sit here for another 30 minutes and do this with you. I'm having a hard time in the first 30, buddy.
I actually can do it if you give me
you might have to.
If you give me that thing that shows me where the questions are, I can move it up and down, I can talk to people on the chat.
Well, how about I do this? I'm going to pass this over to you because I don't think I'm going to be here much longer, folks. I am running out of steam. So what that's going to do, that's for this.
Okay. I need that there.
Okay, give me this one back.
I gotta give you that back.
We'll do this first.
All right.
So just to do this, we're going to set you up so you're here by yourself. That's me. That's both of us. And then there's you. See that?
Yeah.
So we're going to leave it on you because you're the star.
All I care about is the questions. I just need the questions.
I know, and the questions are right here. This is the most you need for that.
There we go.
Okay?
We're going to give Brad the night off, and I'm going to take over this myself.
Of a night off.
And then, Yeah, and then what happens at the end of the show? You'll just come down and close it down.
I will make sure that I am here to do that part for you, my friend. I'm just going to go sit right over there on the couch.
Everybody say bye to Brad. Off he goes. Get better, Brad, real quick.
I will. Good night, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Now it's the Mike Voyajakis Show with your host, Mike Voyajakis. Once a body's autopsied and the body parts are placed in a bag, it's called a viscera bag. What happens to the body after it's embalmed? Do those parts that they take out get embalmed as well? So what they do is once you're autopsied, the medical examiner's office will take everything from inside your hearts, kidneys, liver, lungs, your brain, and they place it in something called a viscera bag. And that viscera bag is put in the cavity of your body. And once it's placed in the cavity of your body, once you get to the funeral home, the funeral director will take that viscera bag out, and then we treat that bag with chemicals. And people say, well, do you put the heart and the lungs and the kidneys back where it belongs? So that's not what we do. What happens is the bag is treated, put back in your belly, and it's sewn up, and it goes with you, so at least you have all your body parts when you leave this world and you're buried. Wow, Brad, people are going on forever here saying, feel better, Brad. Get better, Brad. Some fluids, Brad. Good night, Brad. Take care, Brad. Oh. And then we're going to go to question number 6 here. As someone who's always been interested in mortuary science at a cultural level, and as a trauma nurse, I have many questions. This past year, in May, I lost my sweet dad to cancer. He suffered so long. I noticed upon looking at him right after he passed, he had such a look of relief on his face. And at the viewing, the same look. Do they not pose facial expressions? So here's what happens. Basically, when we're embalming a body, we do what they call setting the features. And that's basically closing the eyes, putting a little bit of a smile or a smirk on somebody's face, setting the features of the eyes so they're perfect, combing the hair, and we try to get the person look as natural as possible, almost an effect of an illusion, as if they're sleeping. And then when you see your mom or dad for the last time, they look peaceful, and it's something you want to remember. Because sometimes when you go to a funeral and you see a person in a casket that looks nothing like that person, that is terrifying. That's something you'll never forget the rest of your life. So it's heartbreaking to see somebody like that. So a good funeral director will take their time to set the features and make the person look very peaceful in the casket. We use not very much in the form of cosmetics. We try to do things as natural as we can to make a person look as natural as possible. And that's the way, and that's the look you want as a funeral director. You wouldn't believe how many people come into the funeral home and say, I want to be a mortician because I could do cosmetics and I could do hair. But it's just not that easy. There's so much more to being a mortician and a funeral director other than doing hair and doing cosmetics. As a matter of fact, when you do cosmetics on a deceased person, we don't use the cosmetics a female would use at home. We use special cosmetics that work well when you place them on somebody's face. So it's a little different than doing cosmetics that you normally would do. Pretty cool when you can kind of ask the question and answer it at the same time. It's like a one-man show. Kathy says, you were a trooper, Brad, to come to the show tonight and be with us. So hope you feel well.
Thank
nice.
You.
Mary, Mortician's Wax. So yeah, we do have something called Mortician's Wax. I was attending a funeral the other day. When I pulled into the cemetery, it said, free will kits available. What's your thoughts on this? Susan asks. Well, Susan, that is a really good question, because when you see a sign that says free will kits in a cemetery, you got to worry about that. Because when you go into the cemetery, they're going to get your name, they're going to get your number, they're going to get your email address, and then they're going to harass you nonstop, phone you, ask if you want a pre-plan, ask if they can come to your house and talk to you, ask if you want to buy cemetery property. So what that is just an open invitation to get into your door, to start harassing you, to start make you a sales pitch. That's what it is. It's the sales pitch. So if you're responding to those free will kits, not at Voyage Funeral Home, by the way, if you come into us, you go to our website. We're not asking. We ask for your email address so you can get in, just so it's We know who's in there, but we never send you anything afterwards saying, we're sending a salesperson to your house. We want to pre-plan your funeral. How about your mom and dad? And all the sales pitches that they use. Mary says, run like hell. If you have a question, by the way, and you're watching the show, leave it on the screen. I'll be able to see it and answer your question as we're going through this, because I'll need to kill more time since Brad is now sitting on the couch relaxing. No, Brad, put your pants back on. Jeez. Hey, Mike, do you know what I wasn't allowed to go to my son's memorial service? Because I was not vaxxed? Your thoughts. Dave Corby. So, Dave, it's too bad that you didn't get a chance to go to your son's memorial service. To me, that is just wrong. That should have never happened. Everyone has a right to say goodbye to their son, to their loved one, to a family member. Nobody should ever be told at the door that they can't come in. Nobody should ever be asked for their vaccination status. That's private. Your medical records are your medical records, and they shouldn't be shared with anyone, especially a funeral director asking you if you're vaccinated. I have no right to ask you if you're vaccinated, and I hope during this next lockdown that they're probably going to do that we stand strong together, we stand united, we fight this, and we fight the good fight, and we don't have this whole city closed down, restaurants closed down, people getting vaccinated, people forced to quit their jobs, all the things that happened in the past. I hope that never happens again. So fight back, and don't listen to what the government says this time. I mean, if people could come to our country and burn our Canadian flag, we could fight for our rights of not being vaccinated, our rights to have freedom of speech, and to have our freedom of rights, which was taken away from us. Nikki Sunshine, do many people keep their glasses on during a viewing? So that's another good one, Nikki. So a lot of people bring in glasses because, they wore glasses while they were alive. So we put their glasses on as they're in the casket. And then when you see your loved one, you go, hey, that looks like mom or that looks like dad. So yeah, having glasses is a great idea, and bringing them is a better idea. And people always say, do you take the contacts off? My loved one has contacts. Do you keep the contacts in? Do you take them out? So just so you know, we do have to take the contacts out. Why? Because the contacts would not allow us to place the eye caps on, and the eye caps are the ones that go over your eye, so we can get the eyelid to stick to the eye cap, and that's how we keep your eyes closed. Another question. Mike, would you consider franchising your fantastic program into another province of Saskatchewan? Well, that's a good question. We've been asked that a lot. So the thing is, we'd always want to make sure that somebody's doing what Voyage Funeral Home is doing in Winnipeg and Manitoba. We run our business like no one else runs their business. It's all about families. It's not about our pocketbooks. It's what's coming from our hearts. Sure, we need to collect money to run the business and make sure that we can keep our doors open and that our staff gets paychecks. So it's something we would consider. We've been asked many times if we would be able to franchise maybe out in Calgary and Edmonton and other places. So we've got a lot of letters from a lot of people asking us to franchise. And just like the show 6 Feet Under, we have a lot of people that try to buy us out all the time. So they're constantly sending you letters saying they want to purchase your funeral home and do what they want to do. Are you back, Brad?
I am, just for a couple minutes, of course, because we're going to get close here to wrapping things up, but that's all good.
Kathy says, yes, Voyage should be in Ontario. Of course Voyage should be in Ontario. So in Ontario, you need an Ontario's funeral director license. Totally different than here.
When you mentioned Calgary and going back, that's when I got up and I went, oh, hey, there's an opportunity for me. I'd love to move back out Calgary.
There you go. You can open up Voyage Funeral Home in Calgary, and everyone will know who you are because you're here all the time, and it would be a good place for you to be. My friend is in constant pain.
I'm just curious. There's something called Take the Train out there, and that kind of gets in the way of what we do.
Do you know what? We've gone to Calgary actually and taken somebody's loved one into our care.
Oh, have you?
Yeah. Usually somebody would die in Calgary, we'd probably have them shipped over by plane. Mm-hmm. So, Air Canada, person's flown over here, and then we do our work on this side. Do you want to read the next question, since
I do. My friend is in constant pain, and after seeing several specialists, she was told that she would only have to wait. You got to scroll for me.
Oh, here. You want your scroll back? Here you go.
Yeah, there you go. For 2 years for surgery because she's in an urgent case, and then she was offered MAID. She was shocked and told the doctor, I don't want to die. I want relief from my pain. isn't this sad? Yes, Faye, it's extremely saddening.
You know what, Faye?
Breaks our heart.
You know what? That drives me crazy. No doctor should ever be allowed to tell a patient, hey, if you're not feeling well, we can always give you the MAID program. That should be something that the patient decides to ask on their own. It should be something that's counseled to a patient, something that's pushed on a patient. Don't get me wrong. I understand, and I'm with families all the time who are in such devastating pain that there's nothing to relieve their pain. And sometimes they just want to leave this world. And I'm not the judge. I can't tell them to do it or not to do it. And some people say, well, why do you do MAID deaths? Because I'm a funeral director.
Yeah.
Our job is to take care of the dead. Whether somebody dies of suicide, whether somebody dies murdered, whether somebody dies of the MAID program.
It's about closure at that point.
Our job as a funeral director is to...
We're not killing nobody.
No, of course not. We're giving family closure. We're helping them have a funeral service, a dignified farewell, cremation, whatever the case may be. And our job as funeral directors is to be compassionate, caring, and understanding,
And
not to judge.
Everybody deserves that.
Everybody deserves that. Absolutely. Kathy says, your will kit, Mike, is from Manitoba. So our will kit is from Manitoba, but most wills are pretty much the same everywhere. If you have a will and it's signed by 2 witnesses and yourself, and you get a lawyer or a public notary to stamp it, then it becomes legal. I'll be able to say the MAID program is BS. Yes, it is BS.
Well, it is in some regards. There's people that need it. There are people that need it.
I think it's BS when they're talking about doing a MAID program to 15-year-olds.
Yep.
I think it's BS when they're saying,
yep,
yeah, if you're struggling with mental illness, you could come to us and we'll take your life.
Stage 4 cancer, you're in a lot of pain, you want to relieve it. There's only maybe one way to relieve it.
And you know what? Everyone deserves, not to be in pain, devastating pain. And there's more than stage 4 cancer.
There is.
There's a lot of people that are in constant pain every day of the week. And until you're in their shoes, you can't judge.
There's people with severe disabilities that just can't handle life.
And then you look at yourself. So you got to put yourself into that position, right? So let's just say that you were in devastating pain. You can't walk anymore. You can't get out of bed. You can't talk to your kids. You've lost all the dignity of doing things yourself. Somebody has to change your diapers kind of thing. And that's when I think you lose all self-respect, right? And sometimes you just don't want to be here. So
at some point it takes its toll on
everybody
a person.
Deserves respect and dignity.
Yep.
And compassion and care.
It really can take its toll on a human.
I think it's tough.
It's bad. It's a very bad scenario. Okay, Mike, I'm a registered nurse. Not me personally, of course, because I don't do that.
You're a registered Brad. That's who you are.
Hey, in the city of
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
By the way, it's glad to have you back.
Yeah, thanks. Kelly says that she's a registered nurse in the city of Winnipeg. I'm wondering how you get by your average day dealing with death. It's hard enough for me to see patients die as you grow attached to the patient and family. That's a hard thing for anybody, but, in the funeral business, what do you do?
Kelly, I believe her name was. Kelly, it's hard for you because you get a patient that comes in and you're caring for that patient for a month, 2 months.
They're talking to you.
And you get attached to that patient. They start telling you their stories and you become kind of like their family. And then you get to meet their family because their family comes in and you start to take a liking to their family. And all of a sudden one day he's gone. And it's especially hard for my niece. Nicole works at a palliative care ward.
Yes.
Ward.
Palliative care ward.
Anyways, so she works in a palliative care place, and just when you get attached to somebody, they're in there for such a short term, and then they're gone. And she shares some pretty funny stories with me about the people that she was helping, and she's a nurse, and the stories and the laughter and they grow attached to these people. So I understand the devastation of a nurse.
You become part of somebody's life in their last days, right?
So on the other hand, when you're talking about death, you never want to take death home with you every day. So what gets me through my day, every day, is the faith I have. Faith that there's life after death. Faith that death is not final. And it's faith that gets me by, and it gives me the strength to move on, and the strength to deal with death, and the strength more than anything to deal with that family. Especially when I have to deal with a child's death.
That's the toughest day.
That's when your faith needs to be the strongest. And that's when I usually close my eyes and say a prayer and hope that the words that come out of my mouth will comfort this family. Because when you're dealing with the death of a child, you could say something wrong and this family will never forget it. So as a funeral director, some of the words that you say to those families that come and visit you are so important because, you know, you're giving them their final direction. And I always tell families, I'm a funeral director. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to help you do what you want to do, to make the funeral service yours, to personalize it, to play the music you want to play, to play the videos you want to play, to bring in the food you want to bring in. That's our job as funeral directors, is to guide you.
To tell the story of the deceased.
Yeah, and you never could tell a story. Talking by myself there, I lost my voice.
That's okay. You'll get it back.
But, you know, an obituary can never tell that person's story.
Right.
And during a funeral service, it's really interesting to see the videos and to hear the music and to hear about that person's life when the family's talking about him. And I just love it because you get to be a part of that person's life, the end of their life, and you get to see the love the family has.
Okay, you got to read Kathy Tickle here, because when it comes down to having MAID used for your child's suicide without a parent even knowing, it should not be taking place. This is a Justin Trudeau thing, guys. It was never made for that. When a person wanted to die when they were terminally ill, wasn't it Dr. Kevorkian, the suicide doctor that people were trying to go to? Now, it's so easy with MAID, you just go.
It's
so
wrong.
sad.
I think Kathy was a nurse before, if I'm not mistaken. So she knows. She gets the feeling of what goes on. And I'll never stand for MAID taking a 15-year-old's life. That's just wrong, and it should never happen.
They have a long life ahead of them.
And they have a long life ahead of them. There's so many people who we're talking about now that have cancer and are facing death and don't want to die.
But they're not 15.
They want to be with their families. But, yeah, they're not 15. You know, I counsel a lot of 15-year-olds, and I go to a lot of schools, and I do a lot of public speaking. And one thing I always say is get high on life. Get high on life. Find something that takes you to the next level. And the other thing I say to them is around every turn, there's a new corner. You know, when it's so funny because you're in high school and maybe people were bugging you in high school, or you were being bullied, and then you get out of high school and you're going, oh my God.
It's not like that anymore.
It's not like that anymore. I have my new life. So just know that life has many new beginnings.
That's right.
And life is not worth ending because life can be pretty good sometimes. Sure, there's going to be ups and downs. Everyone goes through it. Whether you have money, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, life has ups and downs.
You make it what you want to make it.
Make it what you want to make it. And you live the life you want to live. And you know what my dad always said? If you want it, go out and get it. The world is yours. But it's not going to fall in your arms.
Mary Lou, when one door closes, another will open, Mike.
That's right. And that's exactly what happens.
I got to say this about Mike Voyajakis. And I've been around him for a very long time, and I've known him for over 40 years. And the energy that you get off this man is something that's so incredible. And whether you're working with him or whether he's got you as a client or a customer, he brings that to everybody he meets. He conveys that. He just, I don't know what to say. It's almost like there's an electricity coming off you that just people can vibrate off of and gain so much momentum to being a better person, to understanding that to have better, you have to not only act that way, but you have to think that way, and you have to really strive to I guess, get to the goal and the accomplishment itself. And you're the kind of guy who doesn't give up. Whatever it takes, right?
No, it's you got to go the full 10 rounds, right? If you get knocked down, you get back up again, and you find a way to finish the fight. And that's why I'm doing what I'm doing for my brother.
That's right.
I want my brother's memory to be alive. I want to do this Christmas thing that he did every year. He kind of left when I was talking about that, but he did that big Christmas dinner every year for people that were hungry. And there's a lot of people hungry at Christmas, and a lot of food banks don't have food to give you. So to get a nice warm turkey dinner for you and your family, and to get gifts brought to your front door, what an amazing thing. Like I said, please, if you can, join us and help us at the Cork and Flame. Deliver food, wrap gifts, do something, because everything you're doing that day is for a family in need, and that is incredible.
Mary Lou nailed it. Absolutely, Brad. Mike is like a magnet.
Yeah, I was so magneted that I pulled Brad off the couch right now, and I got him beside me again.
Got back here. I feel better already just from hearing his voice. Listen, I want to talk. We got about 5 minutes left, but there is a couple more questions that we could get to. But what I think we should do is the final couple of questions dealt with more hurricane stuff, disasters coming out of the U.S.
Right.
but that Hurricane Milton is hitting Florida tonight. I contacted a close friend of mine from Winnipeg who lives in Florida today, and her family are safe, but they're in a place called Sebring, and Sebring is right in the eye of the storm tonight, which again means that things are pretty calm in the center eye. So they were saying that the ocean was coming in to 15 feet high, even as far inland as where they are. They're like in the middle of Florida.
15 feet high.
15 feet high.
Wow.
There's going to be thousands and thousands of deaths. You know what the population is like in Florida. It's not a bunch of young people. They're the tourists who visit. The people that live there are old senior citizens. Those individuals are all going to be, well...
And don't forget, that's when being a funeral director becomes hard to do. And that's when they ask funeral directors from all over the world to come in and help. Because we're special kinds of people, where we can go out and deal with a decaying body or a body that's been sitting in water for a long period of time. There's so much that happens to the bodies when it comes to water. And they say drowning is one of the worst deaths ever.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely freaky.
Especially when you see it coming, right?
Oh, it's coming and your eyes are open. You're going to meet your maker right there with eyes open when you drown.
Mary says that's been changed in some cases. The wind is taking the water out to sea.
Oh, great!
Wow,
great.
That's awesome.
That we didn't know about because we're.
And Eddie from Florida is giving praying hands. Eddie, anyone from Florida, you're in our hearts and in our prayers.
Yeah.
And we never want to see death happen. You know, one thing about being a funeral director, my friends sometimes joke around with me and they go, "Hey, Mike, do you go home at night kind of praying that people will die so you'll be busy and make money?"
What?
And some people say that, and I go, no, it's completely the opposite. I never want anyone to die. I want people to live and be with their families and be with their kids and grow old together and love each other. And when death comes, it comes. And then I always say, I'm just happy that they choose our funeral home because there's 32 other funeral homes in Winnipeg.
There's enough dead people to deal with on a constant.
I'm just happy that people that come the voyage when they lose a loved one, knowing that they're going to get the best care.
Never have to wish for death. Never have to wish for death.
People sometimes are weird the way they think, and they, the funeral directors will sit around, more money coming in.
Okay, so let's talk about more money coming in because people want to talk about that.
Sure.
So let's talk about the Cork and Flame. Let's talk about Christmas. Let's talk about corporate Christmas parties for a couple of minutes.
Good idea.
We've got some great corporate Christmas party packages right down at the Cork and Flame.
So
why don't you tell everybody?
So here's what you could do at the Cork and Flame. If you don't know, I'm running the Cork and Flame right now. In honor of my brother.
And the food's really good.
The food is really good. If you haven't been there, you got to have it. But anyways, if you're having a Christmas party, support this local family and order from the Cork and Flame. You'll love the food. We deliver it hot, good, tasty, the whole works. Or you can have your Christmas party at the Cork and Flame. Our restaurant, the private part of it, holds 80 people. We also have a lounge that's 30 or 40 people. We love to host your Christmas party. We'd love to deliver the food.
They could bring a DJ in there and DJ
people bring in bands all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
It's really cool. Even on the weekends, if you have nothing to do, come by and visit the Cork and Flame.
So there you go. Make sure you get your corporate Christmas parties booked and get that taken care of. It's coming quick. And I would assume that you book up pretty fast once the reservations start coming in for corporate Christmas parties, right?
Yeah, we want to be booked up quick and get things done. We're delivering Thursday, Friday, and Saturdays now.
What happens for New Year's, too?
So New Year's, we're going to have a big bash, and hopefully this year, I'm talking with somebody this week, but hopefully we're going to have Joey Gregorish.
Oh, yeah? Why don't we rent the convention center then? Throw a party.
We're going to have Joey Gregorish at the restaurant.
Right on.
And if you don't know Joey Gregorish, he's a great entertainer. I've been on radio a lot of years.
We had Mike Reno there recently. Maybe
we had Mike Reno there,
and open
maybe
for Joey.
Mike Reno will come back and do the Cork and Flame.
You could open for Joey.
Yeah, can you imagine?
Hey, great show.
But so some good events coming up at the Cork and Flame that we could really use your help at. And the Christmas one is the big one because it's about families. But the other one is on the 24th of January. We're going to fight justice. We're going to fight crime. I said I was going to do this, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to fight the crime in St. James, fight the crime in Charleswood, in all the areas. We're going to try and make a difference, but you're going to be the one that makes a difference. We talk about this all the time, but now we want to see you come out. We want to see you come out in the hundreds, make a difference, light a candle, be there for the entertainment that we're going to have. The Cork and Flame will also be open, and it's going to be in memory of my younger brother. He left this world tragically. No one should have ever leave the world like he did. So join our family that day to make it a great, great big event that's going to have meaning to it, because we want justice. We want justice for your families. And if we don't fight, you never know if one of your family members are going to be next. We never thought it was going to be Kyriakis.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Happy Thanksgiving this weekend.
Oh, hey. Happy Thanksgiving, man. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your families.
Thank you to Kathy Tickle for bringing that up, because I don't think I was thinking about it. Were you?
And no, not at all.
Not at all. And it's turkey time.
This Thanksgiving, spend some time with your family. Have dinner together. People don't do that. Get off your phones and just be with each other. Today's a gift and tomorrow's never promised. Love your families. Tell them you love them often. Hug them. Never leave on a bad term. Remember, the tongue is sharper than the sword. I keep telling you that all the time. If you have hard feelings with your family, find forgiveness in your heart. It's the most important thing you can do is forgive. You're a stronger person if you forgive and move on than hold that grudge in your heart that eats you away like cancer. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. We love you and for tuning into our show. And I'm losing my voice, and maybe I'm getting what Brad's getting. I'm starting to sweat and stuff right now.
It's hot, man. It's hot.
You know. God bless you and your families. Have a great Thanksgiving. Take care of yourselves and each other's. Please like, share, and follow the show. Brad, thanks for being a trooper and coming out even when you're sick.
Whatever it takes.
And soon we'll be able to take the plexiglass down and talk to each other.
Absolutely.
We love you guys. Have a great evening.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.